Hey, very good evening. My name is Gregory Greene. I am a Conscious Solutions trainer. I am so very happy to be joined by Conscious Solutions trainer, Mrs. Fadwa Ellis, on tonight's support group, where we will be covering the precision model, also known as the Meta-Model. The hope of tonight's session will be to gain an understanding of the useful applications of the Meta-Model, how it can be used to benefit parents, administrators, educators, and in our everyday education, along with coaches. For more information, please feel free to go to info@drdoriснlp.com, info@conscioussolutions.com. That being said, let us begin with the session. Woo! So, once again, we will be starting from in your books, chapter 4. Let me put up the PPT now. So that will help as far as with the PPT. Open this up. Okay. The actual meta model. To do a quick background history on the meta model, it was originally formulated by John Grinder and Richard Bandler. They had used interventions based on Virginia satire, but the actual techniques were invented by Alfred Korzybski in the book Semantics and Theories. If you have the NLP Practitioner Manual, that book is referred to in the index under articles. As mentioned before, the meta model or the meta model of therapy is designed with a specific intent to now, as compared to the Milton model, when we want to keep the information generalized and vague. Now with the meta model or the precision model, we want to specify information through language. Key point, language. And we're going to challenge and expand the limits to the person's model of the world. Speaking of that, we're using this model of the world because, as we all remember, based on the NLP presupposition, the map is not the territory. We want to keep this in mind before we apply the meta model. The goal is to recover missed or lost information, well-formed communication. Hello, Priya. Hi, dear. Complete the Priya. We'll be going from chapter 4. I'm just explaining that the meta model, the background is that we always use the NLP presupposition that the map is not the territory. So that when we understand that, we're applying this to complete the process for language, leading thinking into a resourceful direction. Now, what's key with the map not being in the territory is simply that in language, we have deletion, distortion, and generalization. Those 3 points of deletion, distortion, and generalization, that's where the language is lost. So we're actually going to chunk down by using language, simply because, one, most language, which has only been around for about 150,000 years, most language is factual. Now, it's factual, but that being said, that can actually be confused because we want to look for, in this pattern of deletion, distortion, and generalization, what's missing? What's missing? A lot of that is going to be based on your recipient's territory. So we're going to look for questions, more questions, more questions. And by doing that, create a language pattern between two individuals to create a flow between human beings. Fatwa, your thoughts? Yummy.
To me, the meta model, or as you earlier mentioned, its name is actually the precision model, right? So whenever I did receive or I hear a language that's slightly deciphered or not very clear, the intent of which is not easy for me to grasp, or some of the information is actually deleted, it is missing, whether intentionally or unintentionally. To me, as a receiver of the information, it triggers, where's the precision in the language? So I automatically know that this is where I need to apply the questions that have been presented by the meta model. Another point that was playing in my mind while you were speaking now is, with the slide, we see deep structure all the way up to the surface structure. And I recall Dr. Doris saying that, the deeper the information is, the farther it is from the actual event. So what we have up here at the surface is our perceived, it's what our map tells us, and it's our job as coaches or as trainers or as NLP people to actually work our way with the questions to get to the actual deeper part of that structure. So thank you so much for refreshing that for me, Gregory.
Now, why do we apply the meta model? Because we want to take only what is needed from the map to help the other person reach the territory. Okay, because we want them to reach the territory, so we have to use our language to expand that. How do we do that? Well, we create the models, as I said, mentioned based on deletion, distortion, and then what Grinder insisted on learning the how before providing a representation of the what. And that I still, grasp that one. That I've been chewing on that one for a while. Asked, this is not me, this is Grinder. He was insisted on learning the how before providing the representation of the what. How do we do that? We use the patterns, a series of challenges or questions, which are answered by the client to expand or modify their limitations in their mental map. So that now, by asking these clients these questions, Priya, you're going to be able to have them open their mental map up. What happens when you open your mental map up? You gain greater accesses to the choices that you have within. Remember? Because all the answers we are within. So by asking these questions, now, in NLP, there's two mental maps. We have the mental maps that are sensory-based. That's the internal representation. When I talk about the internal representation, you know, VOKOG, VOKOG. And then there is the linguistic representation. And as Doris had mentioned before, we're going to get to that deeper structure, passing the surface. Quickly, I'm going to break down distortion, which is the process of representing the parts of the model differently than how they were originally represented to the event. So if I would ask an example of a distortion, a process differently than how it was based on my map, could anyone give me an example of how I could, you know, you're telling a friend a story, but it's distorted. Give me an example. Anyone. Okay. You're muted, Sally.
What? Is it me? Am I up? Distortion. It'll be just anything that your perception of what may have happened that day, not the actual reality.
Yeah. And what is that reality based on, Sally?
What's the reality based on?
Yeah.
Facts. Facts.
Whose facts?
Mine.
Right. So it's coming from what? Your map.
My experiences, yeah. My map.
So, two students. That teacher is mean. They're so strict. Other student feels like, man, this teacher is great. They're so structured. They're always on time. They always have the assignments ready. I already know what to do. Based on two different maps. Maybe one student's family was in the military. And the other student's family is possibly from another career where where there's no structure. That's distortion. Now, I always want to break it down to the practical experience. Ali, can you give a workplace example of how information is distorted on your current in your job, if you would be so kind?
It happens all the time, actually.
Okay.
Because there's so many cultures involved and so many, nationalities and perceptions. Like you just said, everyone's coming from their own, so it could be a simple thing like the issue could be as simple as like Sally mentioned the other day, that being on time. Yeah. However, people can perceive it in so many different ways. Some would have a cultural value of being on time. It means you'd be there like 10 minutes before. Some would be just in time. Yeah. Whereas some might rock up like a half an hour later and they're still on time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it becomes a challenge when you want to pass that message across without, offending anyone.
Yeah.
So it's again tact. Yeah, it's involved. Yeah. So again, you can be very direct, or you could do the what we did the other day and be kind of really, really vague about it. But let the other person. And it depends on the person. Sometimes initially it's worth being vague. That like we discussed. To avoid traffic, it's best to leave half an hour earlier from home, giving all those hints. But sometimes it's worth just being direct, you know, guys, like, it depends if the person doesn't get it, and if they're really thick, like, you know, skinned, sometimes you just have to be direct and just, I'm trying to be very PC here, but sometimes you have to be direct and say that, look, if you're expected to be here by 8:30, be here by 8:30, or at least 8:25, so you're settled in and ready to go by 8:30. So you could phrase it in any way, like I just structured the whole thing in giving a practical example. Yeah.
Right. But you're stepping into their map, right? Okay. Priya, you had raised your hand, and welcome, Mr. Bogdan, Mr. School from Romania! Bogdan. Hi, Nish.
Thank you, Gregory. Thank you all. I'm very glad to see you all.
Bogdan, let's just jump right in the fire. We're going over the 3 elements of the universal model process we just covered on distortion. Could you give your interpretation and then application of generalization, my good friend?
Well, let's begin with what we made when we make a distortion. Well, with distortion, it's the basic principle. We used to do that to create things. All we do when creating, we use distortion, because when we create, you don't see the thing that create, or the book you write, or even so, what means by creation. Distortion have a lot of connecting with unconscious mind. Do you know, when we are a little child, and
Yes.
we make our stories, and even in the dreams we make change the scenario. Do you remember that? Yeah. And when we make distortion, it's and the generalization, distortion, and deletions is the main principal way to survive to a big amount of information we get in the world. Well, when we wanted to general how we learn, do you know? Maybe some of you can ask, how do we learn from childhood, from when we was child? Do you know that? How you learn things about what is interaction with exteriors? What we use?
Our senses mostly.
Yes, our senses, but we use a principal way of generalization, because when our parents or were in near us when we are child, show us a door. Yes, and when he show the door, after that, all the way to speak about the door, when we hear the word door, we know what it's about. This is generalization. It's how we use to knowledge, to improve our knowledge and experience.
Wonderful.
From the other point of view, the generalization, it's about it's maybe speak about our value, and more often even beliefs. Because do you know, at till 6 years old, 70 years old, we don't have a specified value, specified beliefs. We only get information.
Yeah.
Well, how we get information and make we are growing by making a generalization, and often more than that, we make distortion, because distortion, it's our world when we are a child.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Next one.
Can I just
Delete.
add? Can
Go
I
ahead.
just add that
Yes, add.
from my experience, most generalizations are made to make people's lives a little easier. They're processing
Yes.
a little
man.
faster. So with categorization comes ease of access, ease of a lot of things. So, and us being human beings, we most likely prefer the route that has the least resistance. So if it's easier for us to categorize things into one general quota, then that's the likelihood that our mind will apply to that cluster of information. So I have a lot of information coming in. It's easier to just say, okay, this is category 1, this is category 2, and it's all generalized pieces of information that we cluster together internally, consciously or subconsciously.
I think a lot of generalization. It's always on conscious mind, because unconscious mind, because where after I model and not so what I read about and speak about, the unconscious mind is the like a big hardware where are gathered information, even if because our conscious mind, it's slow mind.
Yeah.
It's a slow mind. We cannot be conscious of our feeling and how create the feeling. And do you know, when you drive and when you move past a car, do you think that conscious mind make the decision?
No.
Not conscious mind. It's the reptilian mind. It's the reptilian who keep us alive. Because when I speak about now, I speak with you, I cannot be possible to be conscious about everything. And do you know about the communication? We are very. We don't look not only after the words, because when I make the words, you look at me and maybe you hear my voice, and maybe you see what I make with my hands. Do you think that this behavior, it's totally conscious?
No. Surface structure.
It's because behaviors are in the unconscious mind, provide from unconscious mind. If you,
I get it.
People, yes.
No, I get it. I mean, because when you're saying conscious, that's like on the surface structure.
Yes,
that's the surface. That's the surface.
Yes, and all the principle you talk about, generalization, distortion, deletion, it's about how our brain, how we work with environment and the information. A lot of the information getting, it's okay from conscious mind, but the representation and the state is partly on the unconscious mind. Do you know this is why when we follow NLP techniques and Milton model, we communicate more with unconscious mind.
Okay. Yes. Next, last one.
Very important meta model. Milton model. Without meta model, it's like a puzzle with a piece disappear, because we need meta model. We need meta model to understand what is behind what we see and hear. Do you know the metaphor of iceberg? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. The top of the iceberg and then the bottom. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And very often when we communicate on the
tip. Yep.
Yes.
Surface structure.
Nice
metaphor.
Nice.
Nice.
Yes, and meta model make and search to she brings the information from unseen of the iceberg. This is the principle, I think, by me, and not only by me, of the meta model.
Beautiful, Bogdan. Last process in the universal model would be deletion. This is where portions of the mental map are omitted or they do not appear in the verbal expression. This is where there is deletion. It's not even being mentioned. Before we do that, Priya, you had raised your hand. Yes, my dear. Unmute. Okay, 1 second.
Thank you, Grace. No, I got the answer. That was before Bogdan came in. He mentioned, because I was trying to relate to Milton, and when we spoke about unconscious, then immediately I started to think maybe it is Milton model we talk about unconscious. Then I got the answer. So
yeah. Thank you for bringing in a stick of dynamite, Bogdan. Okay. 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 Now, so let us clearly say, Grinder and Bandler borrowed the term. We have the slide. Deep structure, surface structure from transformational grammar. Deep structure is going to be the full linguistic. That's the key now. Deep structure is the full linguistic representation of the map with distortions, deletions, generalizations that occurs in creating a limiting map where the client does not have full access to their internal resources. The impoverished map of the world, how do I know it's impoverished? Because it's going to be evident in the person's verbal expressions. That's the surface. So, as NLP practitioners, we're going to listen how the client is deleting, distorting, and generalizing their world. And then you take it out. There's your tool. You take out that meta-model challenge, and now you enable the client to connect with the deep structure where more resources are evident. Everybody with me? Okay, let's get into the patterns. We've talked enough. Let's get into the patterns. So, first pattern, when you're discussing simple deletion, simple. I'm not doing this, Fadl's not doing this, Bogdan's not doing this. I want Priya, Ollie's away for getting his car fixed. Priya, Nisha, Sally, let's jump in this. Please explain the first pattern.
So is the first one when this is when they're intentionally leaving out information? That's why they're confused, or it's unconsciously? The simple deletion.
What, okay, explain the pattern.
So in the simple deletion, is that when a person is intentionally deleting information? Or it's unconscious, like they don't actually know that they're doing it.
Right.
Right?
Right. Because
so it's not that they don't want to talk about something or they don't want to reveal. It's they actually aren't. Okay. It's unconscious.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't get, I don't understand how to manage these kids.
Yeah.
So what's going to be your response, Sally? I don't understand how to manage these kids. Your response?
I have to filter a lot before I answer these questions.
This is on the job training, my dear. This is on the job training. This is on the job training. They're going to tell you, I don't understand these kids, or he just doesn't get it. Your response is? My
actual response would be, have you tried this way? You know, what have you tried? There's different ways. You know, which ways have you tried? Like, which ones aren't working?
Okay.
I'll get them to explain that.
Now, so now the Milton response was, these kids just don't get it. What would be the Milton response on simple deletion?
The Milton one would be, help me understand why. I wonder why. I wonder, you can't say you.
Up or out, Fatwa?
Okay, so allow me to use a metaphor. Meta-model is like your microscope. This person is seeing things from a very big perspective. What you want to do is you want to dig down, want to chunk down information and get to the small little details. So if teacher or a trainer or someone, a caretaker at school says, I just don't get it how to handle these kids, or I'm confused about the session today, or our job as people who are used as NLP people using Meta-Model is to drill down the information from level here, like a funneling down to get to the actual root of the information that is being given to you. So for example, here it says, I'm confused. The logical response here would be, what specifically are you confused about? So you're funneling down the information, this vast piece of information. You're drilling it down to one specific point, which is specifically, are you confused about? Which part don't you get about the children? Which part don't you understand about managing the children? Or what is it specifically about managing the children don't you understand? Right? Did you get where the flow is going?
Yes. Yeah. So it's asking those sequential questions to get to the bigger picture, kind of narrowing that thought process down.
Yes. So it's not the big picture. No. It's getting the
to
actual
go deeper.
picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
To go deeper.
Getting the actual footage.
Yeah.
Without
so
any
how,
editing
the
happening.
why, explain, you know, like just kind of digging deeper to get to the core.
To get them to notice, to get them also to notice that in the process of their expression, they have omitted a lot of information that had they noticed, they wouldn't have jumped to this conclusion. Right. So if I knew what my problem was with understanding children, I would have automatically thought about a solution, but I didn't think about it like that. I simply thought that I just don't get this process.
Yeah.
Right? So you're helping me link back to the original form and then allow me access to a pool of information that can help me in resolving my own issue. This makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
it's
I
that
tell
deeper
you,
questioning before we jump to a conclusion.
perfect.
The
Precision
sequential deeper
model,
questions.
precision.
Yeah.
Precision.
What
Precisely.
Quick question though.
Yeah.
Was this deletion or was this generalization then? The fact that they had generalized a statement.
They generalized because they just said, all these kids are out of control. I just don't get them. They made a generalization. Okay. What specifically about the children can you not control? So now I take it down and then I want to drill it. I want to make it precise. What specifically? That's the language.
See,
So basically,
Gregory's sentence now takes you mentally to the children's behavior at that time that you could not control. And you are now mentally recalling all these behaviors. Maybe 3 were making noise, maybe 5 were jumping up and down, maybe 2 were sitting on the side. Then you're going to zoom into which ones? The 3 that were jumping up and down that you couldn't control? Or was it the 5 that were making noise? Right?
Yeah.
So now it's getting...
So basically, yeah, I thank you for that, Fadwa. But my question is basically around the fact that was the fact that I had made a generalized statement that was an issue, and now we're drilling down to the actual fact, or is it the fact that I had initially deleted? You know, is it the deletion, the distortion factor we are looking at, or the deletion, or the general, or is it a combination of all three?
May I say something, please, in answer the questions?
Yes, Bogdan.
In communication, we don't have only simple deletion, we have all the patterns. And we decided in a communication to what we want to focus. Because you see, and with permission of Gregory, at the finish, I make a statement about how to use Meta-Model, and by me, what is important, because if you speak about communication, even if it's communication with the child, with our wife, husband, or business communication, we are in the, let me tell you something. We speak about the presupposition, not the NLP presupposition. But we make in our communication a lot of presupposition. That presupposition, it's a thing we think it's okay. Yes, and maybe I don't want to confuse you more, but yes, the answer is in that Gregory said it's really a generalization, but if you wanted to know what is the deletion, it's about simple deletion, about how to know what it is about, because the deletion, simple deletion, it's about to know more, and it's a information only, a basic information we deleted. Do you know why we use deletion? Why our brains make deletion? Do you know why?
No, go ahead, Bogdan. No, I don't know.
Yes. Well, we do deletion because the amount of information we can be consciously aware It's about 5 bits plus minus 2. Well, this is the reason that the number of telephone number was not more than nine digits. Yes, 9 number. It's because consciously we cannot do more than that. We don't speak about extreme. There are people who maybe consciously make more of them, but it's a few. The level, the medium level, it's about 7 plus minus 2. Well, it's what this is the reason we make deletion, because if you are do you know an event or on a moment where we are very express on something, we not focus, but we wanted to get more information. And what happens now if our brains, after a little, we must to break down, because our brain it's break down. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a psychological, it's a way of brain works. Consciously, we cannot a level model for a long term. We cannot be aware of many information, and this is the reason we delay, because we don't want to our brain to get down and shut down.
Can I ask you a question, Bogdan? That's
Yes,
brilliant. That makes it really makes sense. And the same way, like a lot of telephone numbers were limited to 7 because
yes,
it was easier to remember.
yes.
Now, okay, why do we distort?
We distort because we wanted to create. Tell me, maybe you are in your house now, but if you speak about, if you ask you what you wanted to go in the holiday, or if you don't plan, what is the perfect scene of your holiday, the dream holiday? Tell me, please.
It's probably somewhere peaceful where I can just be free and not think about anything else and just do what I want to do.
See you in Goa in November, December.
What is the scene? What you see? What you see? What is the room where you wanted to go and not be disturbed of anything? What is like? Please describe, share with us.
Yeah, it's very comfortable, not too cold, not too hot. The weather is perfect. There's no pollution. I can literally go wherever I want, and it could be by nature, it could be by the sea, it could be even within the city, explore new things. But it's the entire freedom, and it is exploring some place new, meeting new people, and it is the whole journey. It's probably not just a destination, but it's the whole process of experiencing that, something new.
And please focus on that. How the nature must be to enjoy you on a perfect holiday, and describe with scenes, please.
Okay, I'll take my last holiday a couple of months ago to Thailand. The thing I really liked about it was very close to nature. What I didn't like was too hot, but it was raining occasionally, and I was fine with that. So I'm not a big fan of the sun, like really hot weather. So it was something mildly cool, raining, all the trekking, the amazing adventurous stuff you could do, zip lining, ATVs, all the ocean, the sea is beautiful. The people were amazing, very hospitable, very warm
You
and
can
welcoming. It was
describe,
a very
sorry,
spiritual.
yes, sorry if I interrupt you. You can describe people, a man, a woman who is on your perfect holiday. Please describe. Not make some remember. Please, if you think about, you are a painter now, yes, and you paint the perfect holiday, and what you see, what you show to the others after you finish the paint.
Bogdan, may I interrupt?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, please.
Your emphasis is very V. His predicates were primarily K. Did you pick up on that? So you're
Yeah.
asking him to paint a picture. He's speaking about the weather, the temperature, the wind, the rain.
The paint, it's about, do you
The
know?
Italian and the French are speaking.
the paint, it's some kinesthetic because you use the brush, and here is the translation on the paint to what you feel about. Because, do you know, even if you feel, do you know what I really wanted to do? It's to, I know he's kinesthetic, and what he speak about more of value. There are a lot of nominalization on Meta-Model. He speak about model of life. But now I wanted to show what it means by distortion. Because when
So
distortion the reality, we don't have this, because when we speak about and see something, you see and working with your feeling. But if you see and you know, most of NLP techniques are made on visualization, audio, and feeling. But the scenario, the frame is a seed, is a paint, it's some kind of the representation that you see. Yes, I know he's kinesthetic. I know. Thank you for
I know you know. I was just trying to make him. I wanted you to give him that question in K, so he can actually give you what you're looking for.
It's what I use my brush, because I tell you, when you paint, it's some kind of the relating with visually, but with feelings, because all the paint, all the color of the paint is kinesthetic, because the painting man and
Sorry,
the paint
I'm sorry.
is the kinesthetic.
Mr. Ali?
Yes. Yes, sorry, Ali, sorry.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Please continue. It's
yes,
yeah.
And
I got the drift. Yeah.
This is Ali. This is this distortion. We are make our world. Maybe I wanted to ask if you when you was a little child, you used to dream and remember the dream, and do you know you have sometimes possibly to change the scenario?
Possible. Yeah.
Yes. And if you can do that, that is distortion. We distortion our sense, because a painting man that doesn't see this paint. He saw a white board, and he put some let's talk about 1,000 lege sub surface. Do you know Nautilus? Nautilus?
Yeah.
Yes. In that age, he doesn't see and hear about a submarine, but he wrote about a submarine. Yes, this is distortion. This is the principle of a distortion. Do you get?
Yeah, kind of, yes.
Yes. And with distortion, because even if you want to rearrange your bureau, your room, first you make some, because if you wanted to feel free, to feel not in a way to not be disturbed, what practically must made to be undisturbed? To go to a seaside where is not so many people, yes? To go where maybe not the phone call you yes, rapidly. Because when you do that and you imagine that, you will hear that and feel that, you distortion the reality. You are not there. But with your mind, with the power of the mind, you are there.
Yes.
Very good. I have to.
Can I just give an example? I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
just
go
really
ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
Take yourself back to a conversation you had with a couple of friends, with colleagues, where you shared an instant and the two of you argued about what happened in that meeting, in that conversation, in that club, that coffee place. Your memory of what happened and your friend's memory may not be coincidental, correct? What happened in your process of storing information is not exactly the same as what happened in your friend's mental memory of that episode. So you remember a part of the conversation, for example, that she didn't or he didn't. How you stored it in your mind has deleted some information, but has also distorted some of the information, right? So instead of her sitting on your left and someone else sitting on your right, maybe there were two gentlemen sitting on your right and no woman on the left at all, because that table was not really together with your table. It's just an image that came forward when you recall that instant. And your friend who was sitting right next to you saw that that table didn't have a woman. It had a man, for example. But for you, because that information is not very important, there's a figure there, but that figure is distorted. The information is not fully complete. Just like when you imagine yourself picking a new suit, you sort of close your eyes and imagine, okay, so if I wear this suit with this shirt, will it go? You are distorting the current image and replacing it with something else. That is how distortion happens inside our mind.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, let's keep it going. We got an hour to get through these. Comparative deletion. I'm timely. My wife is German. A comparative deletion. This is when the referent implied by a comparison. They're left out of the surface structure. It's better not to say anything. Keywords, more or less, worse or best, most or least. Key response, better than what? You know, that's my best employee. Better than who? Better than, or better than who specifically? In what particular way? In what specific way are they a better employee? Just because they show up to work early doesn't mean that they can more effectively do the job when they're there. So you want to identify as a coach and then specify the criterion of the comparison. Priya, you are a manager. So as I said, when you are comparing employees, it's natural. It's a natural process. But when you are doing your comparison, what specifically are you basing that on? When you're looking as a teacher and you're comparing different teaching styles or different teachers, individuals, what specifically is the comparison? As you are a manager, Ali, and you are comparing employees, what is the comparison specifically on? What's the criterion of the comparison? That's the key pointer. What's the criterion of the comparison? Nisha, if you got a big family and she's my favorite auntie, why specifically is she your favorite aunt? So that's the comparative deletion. Moving forward, unspecified referential index. This is one of my big ones because the noun or the object is not specified. People are just not concerned. Which people specifically? I can use myself. African Americans are lazy. Which specific African American? Because we see this happening all over the news. You want to make that person clarify to whom the statement is referring. I'm going to give you a coaching session where someone told me, he just told me, they all hate me. Who specifically hates you? You know? He doesn't love me. What specifically about you does he not love? What specific factor? You know? Because that we'll get into normalizations later, but you know, unspecified verbs, details of action or relationship is undefined. I have difficulty communicating in words. Okay? How specifically? I get this all the time because I teach English. They tell me, I can't speak English, or I have difficulty speaking English. How specifically do you feel you can't speak English? And I mean, I can hear you fine. We're having a conversation, but you got this belief that you can't speak English. Compared to what? So you want to, that's what you want to clarify it, define it. What specifically makes you believe that you can't speak English? What's the comparison? You know, and that's important as a manager because when they're using that word difficulty or can't, then that's when you use specifically or precisely. Get to the point, pinpoint it, make them define it. Make them define the problem, the state, the activity. More clarify. Who wants to jump into normalizations? I've talked too much. I don't like hearing myself. Bogdan, Fadwa, you want to jump on normalizations real quick?
Yes, it's very important normalization because when I teach my students, I prioritize what questions to do, because well, sometimes it's not very important of any deletion, but nominalization it's a must to speak about and take a question of that, because nominalization, like principle, it's a verb who transform into a noun.
Yep.
And the process is stop. If you are aware of and you hear, I think when you speak to someone, I think it's better to hear and be aware of this nominalization, because it's very important and for the people, and almost the nominalization, it's behind of the value who often was harmed in some kind of event. I think now from a therapist point of view. Well,
That's beautiful. I like that.
yes, yes. And nominalization is, I think, is the best to questioning, because I repeat, it's a very a lot of not information, it's about on the information from deep to I don't want to speak for
Okay.
the logical level, but its meta-model can be used in to near the logical level, because if you wanted to go with the changing of behavior, and like manager, I think he wants to change some behavior of his employee. Yes. To do that, it's to know not the specific environment. Maybe when you talk one-to-one, it's important to be more specified and to know more information. But when you're talking with someone, it's very important to do that in for the nominalization. And let's speak about the nominalization and how to because what you have to do is to put the that question to transform a noun into a process, because some people, do you know, it's it's talk about a lot of nominalization. Ali speak in nominalization, and if you wanted to know what is important for him, because it's referred to his value. Let me speak about Ellie. Ellie, may I speak from? May I speak to you, and may I speak to where I hear from you?
Of course, sure.
Yeah, thank you. It's about your value that I discover when we talk of you. It's some kind of the in more kind of the independence and the way when you see the world, of the whole world, and to be free to not bother with something not important for you. And may I ask you something? Huh?
Sure.
How you look about only a place we are only with you? What is important from here?
You mean from a physical, visual perspective?
Yes, and
or VACOG in general, referring to a
general
place?
for you, and what you feel, what you see, and what you hear, but it's about more than that. Why it's important to be in holiday, to see only peace people? Why it's important for you?
Yep.
And what is important for you to do? What you obtain? What is the goal you want to accomplish? Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
When you're living in a very noisy, polluted place, when I mean polluted, it could be VACOG, yeah?
Yeah.
It's noisy, mentally stressful. So you want to be in a place where it's peaceful.
Yep.
Where the people are very hospitable, very loving, caring, and everything is positive. You would want to be in a place where you are not thinking twice before doing anything, or before it's all about that positivity. You want to be in a place where it's serene, calm, peaceful, and even if there is noise, it's positive noise. It's not really the kind which is negative, or it has any kind of, there's an agenda behind it. It has to be. So that would be my ideal, like, if you talk about it from a visual perspective, it would need to be clean, it would need to be peaceful, it would need to be calm. It could be a lot of fun, it could be a lot of activity in the mud, but as long as it is all positive, it's and as long as, because then it becomes spiritual in a way, and you feel connected to everyone. So again, it becomes all about that oneness. It all becomes you don't feel independent. You feel like you're not a drop, but you're part of the ocean. So it all becomes very peaceful in the end. And I think that's kind of makes you reflect inward and outward at the same time. And that's where it's, I don't know, you want to call it nirvana, moksha, self-realization, whatever you want to call it. But that's what I feel is the, I don't know, the ultimate point of satisfaction, which eventually everyone is evolving, and eventually we all get there. Yeah. So that's what relates to me, basically.
Well, thank you. We share, and thank you. You respond, because well, it's important to do that. And please, or you know something, when you use Meta-Model, please be aware of the rapport, because we have the rapport because we see each, and the way it's like a nice way to do information, to get information and spiritualized grow. Because I think I don't want it to put your words, my words in your mind. Instead, I wanted to, I relieve that you prefer to do positive things that grow, and on the spiritual way. Not, do you know, the spiritual way, it's more about identity, to find your identity, to find your peace in inner peace. And this is about identity, value. You tell us about, and something is more identity. It's your statement of life and mission of life. And thank you for that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to break it down like an organic compound. when you are dealing with nominalization. It's very simple. Noun to verb, can you put it in your pocket? Everybody got that? Noun to verb, can you put it in your pocket? It's not tangible. And that's where the process comes in. My quick example. Government is a nominalization. It's because government is basically a process of governing, right? There's no fairy tale. It's a process of governing. What is the process of governing? It's people like me and you going to a job, doing a 9 to 5, and they govern. That's government. When I was younger, I thought it was this entity, and people get rebellious about it. But they don't understand it's non-tangible. You can't put it in your pocket. All government is people governing. They go at 9 to 5, they work the job, they come home, bow. That's government. Okay, so let's move on. Modal operator of possibilities. Important for coaching, important for life. Gee, if you're a parent, if anybody, come on. I mean, this is when we're opening up and you're doing that. I always call it the live autopsy, where the person tells you they're limiting. Oops, sorry about that. Let me go to my slide. Here we go. Where's it at? Normalization. She has the modal operators. There it is. Okay, modal operator statements. I can't understand this. Real simple. We all know someone, something, somebody that says I can't. As an NLP practitioner, when they hit you with that, wouldn't, can't, couldn't, impossible. First response, really simple. What's stopping you? Because that is their map. In their map, it's not possible. So you're going to take that knife, cut them open, and ask them, identify the cause of the problem, state, or symptom. Present, childhood, you ask them, what's stopping you from believing this is impossible?
And if you add it till now, it's more powerful. What stopped you till now? Because I think Christina Hall.
Yeah, I love Frick. Yeah.
Yes, I love to.
Yeah.
I love to.
Yeah, I love Christina language. As of yet, until this point, not yet. That's the language. God bless you, Christina. I love you. So, that is as NLP practitioners, we're empowering our team. So Nisha, when he tells you, I can't hit my target, your response is going to be what, my dear?
What stops you, like they said, or what's coming in your way, what's blocking you from achieving it.
Okay. And then what's going to happen is they're going to lay it out, they're going to lay out based on their map, what is the reason that's stopping them. And then you're gonna come back with a classic Doris. Is it possible? Is it possible that you can't?
What is possible?
Yeah, what is possible? Yeah, what is possible? You know what I'm saying? What is possible? Got me? Priya, team member, can't hit the sales objective. What are you gonna tell them?
First, I want to ask Greg,
Yeah,
If
yes, my dear.
someone tells me, my team tells me, or one of them tells me, I can't seem to get many leads.
What's stopping you?
Okay, what's stopping me is I'm not getting potential leads.
What's
When
stopping?
I get there, I know that you know, I kind of feel that it's not. So I'm talking from my map, right? When I say I have,
Right. Yeah, right. Right.
okay, so I say, okay, is it based on your experience that you have called and you have seen that it's not working out, and then you've decided that this particular set of numbers are not going to take your deal, or they're
Mhm.
not going to listen to your pitch.
Yep.
So then what is the next step? That is what part? Okay, what else can you do, or how else can you kind of what do you say that
You
the
changed
word,
it.
how else can you what are the other ways to try with the same leads one more time? Maybe you can try it once or twice like that,
Padua.
because if you have a set of leads and if you have done that once, you've done that twice, maybe in my map I'm a person who just wants to try it once and I just give up. Or maybe I'm a person that who doesn't give up so easily. I try different ways with the same person, because that's my habit, where I give chance, where I try to see if I can, you know, get ahead somewhere with them. It fails so many times. Depending on the pattern, I let it go. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to find out, is that
Yeah.
am I on
If
the
it
right
fails
track?
one, then you change your strategy. You just
Yeah,
change the
strategy.
strategy.
Yes. That's the word. I couldn't quite point it out. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You just change your strategy.
Okay. Okay.
point you
So
want to make across is to make him or her change her or his strategy. This is not your mental map, it is their mental map. Therefore, they need to come up with a strategy they perceive to break through what they have already tried previously. So it is something that they have not tried yet.
right. But there is something this is something I face time and again. There are some people who never ever
That was a
accept.
generalization right there, man.
Okay.
Good Lord.
Generalization is because Greg, I have collected so many experiences where, okay, for particular one person, I might say X, I can take this. That person never does not open up for any option. They
As
only
of yet.
follow one track. So how do you, I mean, I don't know how, even when I try strategy A, B, C,
Then
what
you got to go
happens
to
then?
D, E, F, N, G. I'm keeping it real.
Okay.
You got to go to D.
Ask.
Yeah.
Simply ask the person, how would you like to go about had a choice, if you had an option, what would
Okay.
yet another way of allow him to tell you which path he would rather take other than path A. So you don't have to crack your head. He knows himself.
Right. Okay. That's different. Okay, good. Thank you.
You rock, Padua. Modal operator of necessity. Keyword necessity. This is when the statement identifies rules or limits to behavior. So they're identifying a rule to their behavior. Oh my gosh. Woman shouldn't be loud. Keywords: should, ought, got to, have to, must, need to. Padua, I'll let you catch
Operators
this
where
one.
there is no choice.
Yeah.
There's no choice in that.
Necessity.
Relevant to which ones they use, they believe they have no matter. Our job is to make them you think. What would happen if you had a choice?
How could you apply this with an educator, Sally, as far as necessity? Just kind of thinking out of the box.
What would happen if?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we do use this a lot because there are different ways of presenting and teaching and observing the students. So, yeah, you know, what would happen if you tried a different assessment strategy? What would happen if you called the parents instead of emailing, and, you know, just kind of like breaking those boundaries a little bit of what we normally do on a day-to-day basis and trying something new.
Refreshing. Refreshing. Presuppositions. Something implicitly required in order to understand the statement. If she knew how sad I am, she wouldn't keep speaking to me in that way. I'm here always on time. Why do you treat me this way? Anybody else got a presupposition? I'm your
They
brother.
told me teaching was hard.
Yeah, yeah. I'm your brother. You should love me no matter what. You know, I'm family. I should always come first. We work together. You should understand. Come on, we got some presuppositions. I know we're all doing our own things, but get some presuppositions that, you know.
You're supposed to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How couldn't you? Or you can't leave. You should have known that, especially in relationships.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Every sentence have a presupposition. Every sentence. If because we presume something that we don't speak about.
Yep. Anybody else? That's it?
I always comes late. It's not
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I love you. Why you treat me so bad? I just, I'm trying my best. Why do you still demand more? Presuppositions.
Greg,
You know I love this company.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Priya.
Does this also come under presupposition when our team or when we are working with, they say, I thought you knew it. I felt that you knew it, or maybe.
Yeah, what is the employee going to tell you? Give me the presupposition he's going to tell you.
I thought you knew it, that you're supposed to send this file to me. I thought it was a given. It's something where it's not spoken and it's just the other person feels that I'm supposed to know it. Is that
Right.
what we do?
Yeah, they presuppose.
Okay.
So you clarify it.
How would I? So do I say, without offending that person, do I say that usually what I would say is, I'm sorry, I didn't know it wasn't mentioned, or maybe, or sometimes this will be martyrdom when I'll say, oh, I should have checked. Whereas that's not the protocol. It should have been spoken or told. How do I do that? I don't know how to break this thing if it is presupposition, because this comes across very often. Even kids say that, Mama, you're supposed to know that. Mama, why did you forget? So I don't know why did you forget?
I
I don't
don't have
know.
kids. I can't
Can
answer
I
that one.
can
I
I
don't have kids.
can I just suggest something?
Yes.
Why can't you just ask them, why am I supposed to know that? Or I'm your mom. I'm not like a computer genius or something that or a TV, whatever the issue is. All you have to do is just say that.
Can
Why
we
am I
ask any
supposed to know
mom
that?
in here for that question? Anybody's the mom? Okay, come
Yeah.
on. How do you answer that?
So if one of my kids says, Mom, you're supposed to know, how come you don't know? I say, I'm a mom. I would know if you had given any information that had led to my knowledge. This, whatever that. However, I cannot read your mind. Therefore,
not a
I
mind
cannot
reader.
interpret
Yeah.
or perceive what you have going on inside your mind until you vocalize it to me. Right? An employee who says, I expected you to send me that email, what exactly did I do for you to have that expectation? What specifically did I mention at that time, in that meeting, in that incident, that led to your perceiving my knowledge of this matter? Right? Then he may say something that would allow you to understand where his misunderstanding, where his assumption came, so that it does not happen. Also mean that because I didn't do this, I need to throw the blame somewhere. And since expectation is something that is not tangible, cannot be traced, right? So therefore, you to the level that it can actually blame level, it's no longer inside your mind, out. Next time, kindly communicate to me verbally or written what is expected.
Hmm.
No, or ask. Such.
Question.
Thank you so much. So this is last question. So sorry. There's one point I wanted to clarify along with this. So this is a trait with people who normally do not take responsibility for their words. These are the people, I'm not nominalizing, I'm just trying to identify. If I'm talking to somebody, for example, if I'm talking to my dad, and my dad kind of tends to have more inclination towards affectionate and inclination towards my brother, because this happens in little conservative families in India, where sons take more preference than
It ain't only in
daughters.
India. Don't you be starting
It's
even
not just
generalize that.
just
Don't
in
even go
India.
there. Yeah, we had to
Definitely not
kill.
only in
Yeah,
India.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk.
So when
No idea.
I say that, and my dad's like, no, why didn't he attend this? He's our family member. He should have attended this. And I was thinking, in spite of me reminding him, he didn't. So my dad says, you should have known he is not interested in these things, or it's okay. Where I don't know. You should have told me. Okay, you should have known. We'll go to the next step, saying you should have reminded me. You should have told me. So is that a behavior, or is that so deep ingrained that you cannot change it at all? It depends from
Sorry,
person to
can I ask
person.
you a question in return?
Right.
The intent of the question.
The
I try to
question,
understand.
yeah, my intent is, I'm trying to understand, is there a way to make the other person see that that person is wrong, and it's that whole what should I say, it is passing the blame, you should have reminded him 10 times. Why did you just remind twice? So where I tend to feel bad, and this happens even with the people now, maybe because I'm a person who takes everything personally, or how do you barrier that? I'm trying to understand
Allow
people.
me to shed light. This is not a a question of holistic communication. This is a behavior pattern.
Right,
So
right,
it
right.
is not his
That's
representation that needs to be analyzed further for you to fully understand, or for him to grasp more information about the situation so he can respond better the next time.
because we come across some people who constantly never accept that they could have said it in a better way, or they are at fault. It's always the other person who's supposed to be at fault. So the words, that's what I'm trying to understand. The words, you should have, I don't know, I thought you knew this was going to be the answer.
I should have would, what makes you think I should? What would happen if I don't? Is it negation? But it is a must. What happens if I don't?
Wow.
If it's a need, what happens if you don't need it? Flip the scenario. If it's a situation where it's an impossibility, create the possibility.
Okay.
So it's reversing the language to open up other pathways or thoughts to access other resources. Okay?
Wow. Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Sorry I took a lot of time.
That's it.
Universal quantifiers.
Okay.
In
Broad
India, all men are
generalization.
preferred.
Go ahead.
All men have differential treatment in India. Only in India? Is it? I think just now everybody on the screen was like, no, 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 right? So when generalizations or universal quantifiers are made, our job is to pop that balloon.
Yeah.
My dad is always late. Really? He has never been early to anything before? All women take forever to get dressed. Has there never been a time where you, as a woman, got dressed in time? Or is that statement actually true for all women, all the world, across nations, races, ethnicities? Is it falling in place?
Boom. Anybody else want to do a universal quantifier? Because those are funny. No.
All NLP trainers are perfect.
Men can't multitask.
That's a fact. What did we do here?
We need to pop your bubble. That's what we need to do.
Greg, how many things are you doing at the moment?
Looking at the screen. I'm writing a note. I'm looking at universal quantifiers. Just doing it. Now, the counter example that I would say is I was asked compared to what? Or, has there ever been a time? I don't necessarily use that. I would say always. Is it always? Is she always like that? Because when I do always, I can't learn English. Has there ever been a time when you could learn a topic that you didn't know before? Okay, there was. So why can't you learn English? You just challenge the belief. I can't do it. Well, tell me something you have done.
Decision.
Yeah. No, I just cut it up. I just want to cut it up. Oh, Okay.
To go back. I came late to work today because it was raining.
You've never. No, I'm not going to go there. Okay.
Are we
That's a
doing
good
some
one,
mind
though.
reading?
That's a good one for Ollie. Boss,
That's
I
not a
came too
universal.
late because it was
That's not a
raining,
universal
boss.
That's not a universal quantifier, is it?
Now we're doing cause and effect.
Ah,
Yeah, boss, it was raining today. I was late to work.
Must have
Anyone want to do a
changed
cause
his
and
mind
effect?
about him
and
take my call.
Anyone want to do a cause and effect?
and how did that rain slow you down?
I'm curious. How did that rain slow you down? Yeah, I'm so curious because I was in the same rain and I made it here. Yeah, I'm really curious. Or I wouldn't even. I wouldn't say that way. I wouldn't put myself in the equation. I would say, "Oh, you were late because of the rain." Curious. There are other employees that are here. I think it was raining for them also. Yeah. Thank you for.
I like the sarcasm, Greg. I like the sarcasm.
No, I want to
I
take
was just
myself
gonna
out.
say
No, I
that.
want to
Is
take
that-
myself out of it. I want to take myself out of it, and I always try to be in the neutral because because it's always about rapport.
But
Also,
then doesn't
how
that come out a
specifically
bit
did
like
the rain make you late?
Yeah, that would be better.
Yeah.
Sally, you were going to say, my dear? Sally?
Because that does sound a bit like sarcastic
Yeah.
or cynical.
Yeah.
But even if I say, well, how did the rain make you late? Doesn't that sound like I'm being a bit judgmental?
Based
That,
on
oh,
your
I
tone?
wasn't,
No, your tone. Not what
Intonation.
My tone.
use your tone. That's
Because
tonality.
the rain may have caused my tires to slip, right? If my tires skid on the road, I had an
Yeah.
accident, then it is really
But then
because
you
of the
would
rain,
you wouldn't
right?
say you're late because of the rain. There's a bigger cause then that way,
Yes.
right? It's not just the rain.
Sally,
You
may I
never
say
know how
something?
people express themselves. It's a
Yeah.
matter of expression. So right now I'm blaming
Right.
the rain. I don't want to blame my tires. I don't want to say I was supposed to get my tires changed last weekend, but I was too partying and I didn't get a chance to go repair shop. So I wait on the rain. Nobody's gonna.
Blame the rain.
Go ahead, Bogdan.
You hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes. Sally, when we put the questions, we must use what it called softeners. Because if we don't use softeners, the other people think it as we are the policemen and KGB or something like that. We don't have to interrogate it, because when the perception of the other people had about our question is to be interrogate, the meta model doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work at all.
I would put up defense. I would be defensive.
Yes,
You're right.
and be
very good.
defensive,
Yeah.
defensive, and take it personal. I wonder. It's some kind of softeners we can use in front of the questions. And do you know something? I really wanted to know how, what is stop you, the rain? How the rain stop you now? And probably it's more the person not take in a defensive state, because do you know it's not some kind of the joke when do you know NLP was called at the beginning meta, and I think one of the model who develop it's a meta model. Grinder was grammatical, and he knows how to put questions, and he knows very well to put questions, and Bendler also. And do you know the when they develop and work about meta model, other people who he's around them make in life the question and put it roughly, and they came and said meta doesn't work, because the people said, what you are interested in, what do you want to know? Why are you interrogating me? Yes. And
I didn't do that.
there is I could, you know, I buy a shirt. What's the color of the shirt? If you set some only that to put questions, meta model doesn't work. You can use Milton model patterns to soften the questions. I wonder. I am very curious to know. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mind reading. Nisha, please read pattern, response, and recovery on mind reading, my dear, if you would be so kind.
Yes. It says she doesn't think about me. You want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So mind reading from the beginning. Claiming to know someone's internal experience. Example, she doesn't think about me. So response, how do you know she doesn't think about you? Recovery, identify criteria used to make assumptions about the other person's internal state.
So by identifying the criteria used to make assumptions about the other person's internal state, layman language, all we're doing is we're asking questions. That's it. We're just identifying the criteria about why the person feels they don't think about them, because based on their map. Any questions regarding this? Yeah, go ahead, Priya. Yes, my dear.
Greg, I have a question. Does that also apply to, I seem to get nervous around sales. I seem to get, I'm always procrastinating. Does this also fall in this category? Or is it about saying you never pick my call? Example. You never answer my call. Or you never respond to my messages. Is that the same as we can also consider the point here on if I'm talking about myself, I'm always nervous around a sales call.
Okay. You're always, so you're telling me you're always nervous around a sales call.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, then that's not a mind read.
Isn't that about myself?
Yeah.
Mind read. You are reading somebody else's mind. You are claiming to know what their inner state is. and you're making a decision based on assumptions that you are taking. You're making a map about somebody else's map and somebody else's state of mind.
Can it be applicable to myself is my question. Can I apply it on myself? I'm trying to be me. I'm stepping out of that. Priya is trying to read Priya. No.
May I say something, Priya?
Yes, please.
If I ask you, not ask you. If I tell you, Priya, you are very nervous when you make a call, this is my mind reading.
Yeah.
Because you have to answer, how do you know I am nervous? Because the nervous, it's to be nervous, it's some kind of the stare. You cannot be, I tell you something when you are calling when you make a call to a leads, you move your hand or you move your feet. This is not a mind reading. This is what I am observed to you like a habit, a behavior, because this is the difference between behaviors and mind reading. Mind reading, it's about your stare and your emotion, because I don't know what
I don't know.
I am very very good. I don't know what's happened in your brain. I don't know. I can presume, but I don't know for sure. Only facts we see, it's the other behaviors. Telling you now about Gregory. Gregory now read something. Yes, now he's smiling. It's a fact. But I am not. If I tell Gregory, you are very, very upset that you don't finish the whole meta-model question, that is mind reading. That is mind reading, because I don't know what it's happened in his head, in his brain. I do not know. Thank you, and sorry for my dissertation, long dissertation.
No, that was actually quite precise. How is that, Priya?
Could you identify, make a statement? I am always nervous around. What kind of a statement?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay.
When you said you are speaking about yourself, right? You are speaking
right.
as Priya.
Yeah.
So
okay. To be specific, I would say I'm always nervous when I talk about the price on a sales call. How much it costs.
Now, please specify one of these categories, your statement.
Okay, one of these categories will be I am always nervous. It will be, is it cause and effect? I don't know. Then I should say I'm nervous because that could be the underlying issue, which I'm not right. Okay, got it.
Isn't it a universal quantifier that she's generalizing? I'm always nervous about this. It might be a specific person who's asking, it might be a specific element of the sales team which is making her anxious. Yeah, but it's being generalized here.
But you see, when I asked her to point it out, it's not about the generalization that hit her, cause and effect, because it is what's inside her map. See, when we speak generally, we do a lot of deletion, generalization, distortion. But generally, first thing that strikes you the most internally is the one that you are actually using the most, that given. It's where the solution lies. So now, as soon as she said it's the cause and effect, and she leaned back, did you notice her physiology changed? She immediately understood why it is triggered.
Sorry, I missed that part. Why was it cause and effect? The fact that she was getting anxious with a sales pitch call.
She has to, yeah, speak about the price. That was her statement. And the minute she said that, she relaxed, she leaned back in her chair. And she was like, so that is it. It's not the people, it's the actual fact that I have to speak about the price. Right?
Okay.
Now we can go even more details. What specifically about speaking price that makes you feel that you are nervous? Right? That's how you, or it could be a lot of other questions. I'm just trying to clarify for her so that she knows she's thinking. Hey, 2 more to go.
Complex equivalence. We've got 3 minutes. Complex equivalence. When 2 different experiences are stated as meaning the same thing. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't like me. Response. How specifically does his not looking at you cause him not to like you? If you wouldn't look at somebody, would it mean you wouldn't like them? Our recovery. Check the validity of the relationship which is implied to the complex equivalent.
Breaking down of language. Complex is creating a complexity, right? Out of something simple. Equivalence is making something equivalent to something. Apple, orange. You're complicating the situation. You're not making a salad. Right?
Do you know what the brains make? What the people brains make? It's very important to discover a cause, an effect of a cause, and a symbolization. What it means that action that our brain do, and I think the next step of Meta-Model is a slate of mouse. The next step, and the slate of mouse is based on cause and effect and complex equivalence, because all the communication it's around is to find what is the cause, what is the effect, and what is meaning of that. And all the patterns used in slate of mouse based on Meta-Model, it's surrounded by cause and effect and complex equivalence. It's very important, because when I wanted, well, in therapy, when I wanted to find something on the client, I focus on cause and effect and the meaning. Yes. It's very, very easy. What he said, you can ask only because it's to step the client to make the proposition in cause and effect. And after that, I ask him, and that means, and he speak about the complex equivalence. After that, I can dig and make what he wanted to change. It's more easy, and is also easily in communication, very easily to do that. For that reason, I spoke about, I used to use meta models on this way. And after that, I go normally normalization, maybe mind reading, universe, like generalization.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sorry for that dissertation, but I said from the first, I announced that I make that dissertation of what I how I use and how I use in therapy or with in communication meta model. Thank you.
Okay.
Quick question on this though. Is complex equivalence similar to illogical fallacies? For example, stating men are strong. An ox is strong, so all men are ox and oxes. Or is that kind of thing, does it fall under this kind of conclusion or analysis?
I just point out that different math world equivalence is different. The understanding of equivalence is different, and the understanding of logical and illogical is also different. So while to you, men are strong, oxes are strong, all men are oxes, may not make sense. But if I was someone who perceived these two sentences from a measure of strength and a measure of male, I would say your sentence can make sense. So it may be logical or illogical, depending on the receiving of the, right? What we're trying to say here is we're taking two things and you're making them. We're making them. Because of this happens, right? Because it rained, I am late. Stop. Right? Because my boss continuously gives me extra assignments, she thinks I'm a pushover.
And that means to change to complex equivalence. Yes, to make the step on complex equivalence, and that means I ask you for your.
So maybe for me it means that maybe if I don't accept the extra work she's giving me, I will look more like I am a person of, or I'm capable of decisions. I am a person with boundaries. For example, see, people usually link their attachments, detachments to causes to validate them. So I could simply say something as God, gee, today I went to the cafe and that guy kept looking at me and laughing. I think he must thought I was really funny, even though he was very far from us. He didn't hear our conversation. No? Maybe deep down inside I wanted to. So I'm linking it with the guy who's randomly sitting across from me laughing. Every time I up my head, it happened laughing. I am just making the things linking. Or maybe I have a complexity and I think that whenever I look up and that guy is laughing at me. I think that guy must think it's something. Then he's looking, laughing. I mean,
Perfect. Last
my ego is super
performer.
inflated, and I say, "Oh, he must have fallen."
Okay. Okay. Sorry to cut you off, Fatima.
No, it's okay. Lost performative.
Take us out,
I don't-
Bodine. Last performative, sir.
Last performance, yes, it's last performative. It's some kind of the true that you don't speak who is about to who was the guy who said that. Last performative, it's some kind of the judgment value. Yes, sometimes it's close to generalization. It's another pattern we use to grow and develop. Well, the principle of lost performative, you don't speak about who said that, and you don't mention that, and you don't mention the source of this affirmation, because it's some kind of judgment value, a presupposition, because presupposition are NLP presupposition. It's some kind of the lost performative.
So, when you notice someone is using a lost performative, just simply ask them to identify the source that they're using to make the judgment. That's all. You know, they're making a judgment, and you just, out of curiosity, simply ask, based on where are you making this judgment? I'm curious. So I'd like to know, where'd you find this at? You know, very simple. All right, I'm going to 8 minutes over. I'm going to get in trouble, but thank you for the NLP precision model, meta-model. I thank the attendees for coming tonight and spending your time to practice NLP. A very thank to our co-trainers, Miss Partha Elias and Mr. Bogdan. Let's get them a big hand. I will see some of you tomorrow at the NLP Masters. Get some good rest, get some good food. Thank you again, my co-trainers. Peace.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for opening up. It's lovely having a discussion, and Bogdan's mind is amazing.
Thank you, Andy.
I would love to hear more dissertations when we have the time.
With pleasure, and your dissertations also. Wow, I learned a lot from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good morning for me.
Thank you so much.
Past
Excellent.
midnight, so I'm going to say good morning.
Yeah, good morning. NLP, excellent.
Excellent.
NLP,
Excellent.
Excellent.